All right. What's up, my man? Today we have Lucas Tyson. I do know a little bit about you because I've been doing a little bit of research on you, and and actually we've met on probably in one of the masterminds we've been a part of. But for people that don't know about you, can you just kind of walk us through your journey on, I see the big award in the back, and most people probably don't know what that is. So if you want to explain that, and then give us a little bit of backstory about you.
Yeah, totally. I have been selling coaching, online courses, done for you services now for close to 7 years, since like mid to late 2019. That big shiny award is for selling over 50 million of our own. So we've done pretty well with it. I started off as a freelancer on Upwork. So basically a platform where you can bid on $5, $10, $20 an hour jobs. That was how I paid my way through school, was doing digital marketing Upwork jobs. So I started off just like writing emails without ChatGPT, doing like kind of shitty Photoshop things, just whatever I could to make some money, get some positive testimonials on my profile. And eventually that kind of became my first business, which was an agency. Um, that did really, really good for me at the time. I was a college kid and I would take home maybe like 10 or 20K a month, which was great for me. I thought I was a genius until COVID happened. That was my senior year of college, my last year of college. We all got sent home from school in March, and pretty much every single one of my clients canceled because they were all freaking out. And they were all like brick and mortar local businesses. Like they weren't, I had a few e-commerce, but they were all freaked out. So my income went from like 2000 a month to like 200 a month, basically. And now I was graduating, I was finishing school, and I was like living at my parents' house. I was trying to figure out like what am I gonna do? Um, and that was the first point in time where I thought, like, well, instead of just relying on Upwork to send me clients, what if I do what I do for all of my clients? What if I ran some ads for myself? So that sent me down a long rabbit hole. That was when I first discovered ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. I bought and read all the books because I was looking at like how to run ads to get clients. That taught me about webinars. It taught me about VSLs and funnels. So I went through this kind of like 2 month obsessive learning phase, which was great because I was at home. I wasn't, had anything else to do. Um, and then in May or June 2020, that was when I launched my first funnel. It was a webinar. We were selling a $1,500 course on basically everything that I did with clients, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc. And we were using YouTube ads and Facebook ads to advertise it. Um, and I kind of got lucky. Like it was kind of perfect timing, as you and maybe other people know, like 2020 was everyone was trying to upskill themselves. They're trying to find new ways to get leads, new ways to get clients. So like literally the very first, well, like the first 2 weeks were like break even, but the first full month of advertising was like over 150,000 in cash collected. And this was, again, when previously I was in a good month clearing like 15 or 20,000. Um, so that really opened my eyes to the possibility of the business model of advertising yourself, and that's pretty much all I've done since then. So I've tried every single funnel, made every mistake that you can think of, but yeah, always been a paid advertising and a video guy. That's why I have this nice video setup at home.
Yeah, I look like a scrub. I look like a homeless guy.
Yeah.
I look like a homeless
It still
guy.
looks
Thanks.
good. It still looks good.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So walk me through that part right there because yeah, we saw you make 150,000, but then you get to 50 million. Like there is a big journey in that. So like,
Yes.
if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind, let's divulge into that because a lot of the people that I talk to now are they're not beginners. Let's put it that way. They have businesses. They're doing good, but the good is the enemy of great, as they say.
Yep.
And I'd say 50 million a year or 40 million or even 100 million a year is a pinnacle of success as far as a business is concerned. According to the US Bureau statistics, less than one out of every thousand businesses ever achieve eight figures or more. And you're doing
Right.
multiple eight figures a year. So there's a lot of meat on that bone that I'd like to explore if we can.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say and that I'll caution people with is that you can get very far just with raw marketing ability. And that's definitely my main skill set is just marketing. As you know, there's many other parts of being a CEO of running a business. Um, and every single one of those eventually came back to bite me in the ass just because I got really good at marketing, but I wasn't good at managing people. I wasn't good at leading people. I wasn't good at operations. I'm a very naturally disorganized person.
Mhm.
So there definitely is a lot to unpack. However, the other thing I'll say is that you also don't have to be amazing at everything. And maybe you've talked to people like this, maybe you've met people like this. This is really what kind of made it possible for me was seeing people in my industry and meeting them at masterminds and things like that and seeing they were doing 1 million a month, 2 million a month, 4 million a month, whatever. And I realized I was like, this is not, Mark Zuckerberg. This is not like some super Elon Musk super genius who's like putting rockets into space. Like this is just a guy or a girl who figured something out. Like they figured out this is something that people want to buy, and I have a really efficient mechanism of reaching those people and delivering it to them. Um, and I think that has always been what has helped me, like the whole reason I started as a freelancer on Upwork is because I saw a YouTube video of someone who was like, I'm in college and I made $10,000 as an Upwork freelancer. And I was like, oh, it's possible now. Um, and that's why, I like having conversations like this. It's because it's like you meet people and you'll realize like there's tens of millions of dollars in all these little pockets that most people would never even like conceive of. They'd never even think of. And truly, I do believe the only thing that separates the people who are doing like a million, 3 million, 5 million, 10, 20, 50 is really just time focusing on one thing. Like pretty much for 5 to 6 years to get that plaque, we were focused on one business, and it was really two products that made the vast majority of that. Um, and there were a lot, and that was not to say that we only did those things. There were probably like 30 different products and funnels that we did end up launching, ended up being a waste of time. Like we could have had this whole thing filled out with like 100 million if we had known that in hindsight. So, um, the one thing I'll caveat all of it is you can get really far just trying to stretch one zone of genius. And over time, you kind of just get to learn like what are your strengths. Like for me, I do not love doing big meetings. Like every single member, if there's ever like more than 3 people on a team, I'm just checking out, I'm looking at other things on my computer. Like I've learned about myself, like I cannot run a company like this because it's gonna work against my natural strengths and weaknesses. So, um, pretty much every single product that I've sold that has done really well, and the top product that we sold did like 37 million. The one behind that did like a little over 20. Um, those were products that absolutely aligned with me, the creator of the product, and how I was going to deliver it. Because if for you to make more money, it means you have to do more stuff you don't like doing, or you have to get out of your comfort zone more, the odds are very high you're just not going to do it. You're gonna say, "Oh, I don't feel like growing the company because that also means I have to deal with more stuff I hate doing." So, um, that is something unintentionally that has worked well for me is just being lazy, just doing things that come naturally to me and being very, very resistant to do things I don't want to do. I think that has served me well, but I've also made a lot of mistakes with it, definitely.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a totally different take than what I'm accustomed to. I'll tell you, like when I've interviewed a lot of people and they tell me that's a totally different take for sure. And I appreciate that. I actually like that
Yeah.
because, I like to have the opportunity to be able to see both sides of the coin. And I guess for like just for sake of like kind of we saw the number, but how much were you doing a year at your peak with with the company you had?
So our peak year was 2023, which was just over 33 million. The year before that, 22 was like 12. So it was almost triple. Um, and then 2021, I think was like 5.
So
So we
your first
doubled.
your first official year, how much did you do?
Like over 1 million. So the first official year where I was like marketing myself was 2020, and I did like 1.1, I think. 2021 was 5 or 6 or somewhere there. 22 was 11 or 12, and then 23 was 33.
What was going on? Like how did those things how did because those jumps are and to be like those are the jumps that we're having right now. Exactly, like the exact
Yeah.
same path, like the
Yep.
same exact
Yep.
path, growth patterns. First year one, second year, so first year we did one, second year we did three, third year we did well, just completed the third. We're at like 11.7 or something like that. And we're
Nice.
on path to
Nice.
do, 22 or more. But I'm curious, like in those jump points right there, like what was the biggest shifts for you? Like from 1 to 5, like what was the biggest shifts you took? I guess if you had to kind of break down each phase, um, like to get to those stages, how would you kind of define that? From 1 to 5, what was like the biggest shift for you?
1 to 5 is usually marketing, just tightening up marketing and sales. And again, this is probably, I think there's a lot of different ways you can skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways you can grow a business. This is just my experience. At 100K a month or a million a year, um, that usually means you have a pitch and you have an offer that's working, but there's a lot of things in it that are just fluff and people don't care about.
Mm.
And I honestly think you could get to 10 being a terrible operator, being a terrible manager of people if you just have a really, 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 and you'll see this with like affiliate marketers and people doing the craziest things. You can absolutely just have a bulletproof, incredibly airtight funnel marketing and sales process where you know you, I heard this it was some comedian who was talking about it. When a comedian is like refining their act, they're figuring out, what are the best jokes? What are the things that people laugh the hardest at? And they use the phrase that I love, which is every word has to earn the real estate in your special. So when like a comedian has a special, they're not just going to throw in some of their mediocre jokes. They're going to have like 10 of their all-time best jokes, their best stories. Like every single one of them has earned their real estate. Um, to get to a million, you don't have to be perfectly bulletproof, but to get to 5 and then 10, you need to have a marketing, you need to have sales, or you need to have a product where it is very much like 80, 90, 100% of what someone is hearing is just resonating with them so deeply. They're like, oh my God, how has this not existed? I didn't even know something like this could exist. Please just sign me up, take my credit card, whatever. So that's all really it is just refinement. It really is just, I would personally listen to the sales calls that our sales team would have every single day. And I would listen to what the lead would say when we ask them, like, oh, what was the reason you booked this call? What interested you about Lucas's ad? People are going to tell you what they like. They're going to tell you when they get on the call, and they're also going to tell you after they buy. They'll tell you like, oh, I bought because you guys do this, or oh, I bought because I really did this. If you have elements of your marketing, or if you have elements of a product or a pitch or a deliverable, whatever, that people are not telling you about, then you should just delete it. Like it actually does more harm to have a long-winded product pitch or marketing funnel, whatever, that isn't 100% resonating with what your leads are telling you. So honestly, and this is obviously, coming from a paid advertising guy where scaling is pretty easy. Like we just click the button in Facebook ads and we tell Facebook to take more of our money. If we know that we can convert the attention, if we're doing a really good job of converting the attention that Facebook is giving us into clients and dollars in our bank account, all we have to do is just make sure that we're not wasting any of those dollars, that we're not letting any of it fall out in any of the gaps. Um, so that I would say that was your original question, was just
Yeah.
from 1 to 5, somewhere in that range. It's really just tightening up, understanding what people want to buy. And
Mm.
every entrepreneur, probably yourself included, yeah, at some point you had an idea. You were like, oh, this would be cool if this existed. Maybe people want to buy this. And obviously, over however many months and however many conversations you have with people, you start to get a sense of this is what people imagine in their head. This is what they're wanting to buy. And it's just a matter of kind of that push and pull of getting your version of that to match what they have in their head, essentially.
Hmm. How do you, because this is a struggle that when we talk to a lot of our, because we work primarily with tax strategists, right? How do we know if we keep or kill a service or something that we keep pushing on, or do we kill it and kind of move past it? And I think, from that phase, what you're saying from like 5 to 11, I imagine that's where you're starting to make those decision points. Or,
Yes. Yeah. Um,
or rather, maybe it's something else where because what we've seen is narrowing the niche even further. is like
Yeah.
deepening the funnel, if you will.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I don't know. I'm curious what your experience has been.
It is a really good question because the one product that has made me the most money was like pulling teeth trying to sell it for like the first 4 or 5 months. It was not a breakout success.
What was
I
it?
even had it was so we had a program that was called Knowledge Business Accelerator that was
Yeah.
basically for coaches who wanted to do what I had done. They wanted to create an online course, they wanted to advertise it through YouTube. Um, that was the product that did collectively almost 37 million. And more importantly, it also was the main lead generator. It was the number one advertisement that we had that fueled everything else that we did.
Mm.
So, um, even in hearing like the elevator pitch of what the program is not that exciting. You're like, I've heard people do that. Like, there's nothing that unique about it. Um, and I even had a mentor of mine in the first like 2 months of me selling it. He basically told me he's like, scrap this whole thing. Like, you need to do an offer like this. And I honestly don't know why I was so stubborn or why I was like, no, it will work like this. Like, I know it will. Um, but it was not easy. It was very much pulling teeth, and there was every sign that this was not something that people wanted to buy. Um, so with that being said, for us to get it to a place where it did actually start picking up steam and it did actually end up making a ton of money and being our number one success, it also wasn't that different. It was 95% the same pitch, but realistically, the only thing that changed was how we were framing the start. So we were initially framing it as, oh, if you're a coach who's running Facebook ads, then you need to start running YouTube ads because no one's running YouTube ads and you need to get on this wave too. Um, and that was not easy at all. Like, we maybe made like $5,000 selling that for like 3 months. Um, but when we eventually transitioned it into, if you're a coach or an expert, here's a way that you can start getting clients from YouTube, but without having to make your own YouTube channel. That idea, a lot of people are clicking on. They're like, what do you mean I can get clients without doing a YouTube channel? Because every coach, every expert has thought about doing YouTube, doing Instagram, whatever, but the hesitation is always, well, I don't want to make content all day. I don't want to do that. So they learn through our funnel. They're like, oh, you're telling me I just need to make one YouTube ad. It's like a 3-minute video, and then you just advertise that for a year. And that was pretty much how I had done my first course. I had one video ad that ran for almost a year, that got like all of the sales. So it's the same exact product. We didn't change anything about how we were delivering it. We didn't change anything about what I was telling people. It was literally, I call this the angle. It's just, what is the idea? What is the premise that you're presenting to someone? What is the elevator pitch? When they click on, when they're just scrolling around on their phone, when they hear your ad, what is the little thing that you want to live inside of their brain? What is the thing that they just can't forget? And I knew, obviously, when we ran that ad, we started getting a lot more attention, but I knew it was actually going to work because people would show up for our sales calls and they would verbatim tell our team, oh my God, when Lucas was talking about making money on YouTube without making videos, like, I thought that was genius. I can't wait to do this. Like, they remembered it. They clearly resonated with that idea. So inevitably, there are going to be some bad products. There are going to be some things that maybe you just be better off not selling. But there is also not that big of a difference between something that just isn't resonating with people versus something that catches fire. And um, a really obviously Alex Hormozy, his $100 million offers book is a great example of that, where you could have the same offer, but if you just change the guarantee, if you're like, oh, there's a popular ad you've maybe seen where it's like, we'll get you 1 million views or you don't pay. It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I just kind of have to see what this company's talking about. Like, I don't even know who they help, but it's like 1 million views. Of course, I'm gonna listen to what you have to say. So that's why I really love marketing, and that's, kind of what I love geeking out and obsessing with, is just like, what are those little hinges that can swing a really big door? Um, and there are many other examples like that where it's like something was not working at all, one small tweak, it immediately catches fire, and then something was working, and we changed something that maybe we didn't think mattered at all, and it just collapses. So it
What
is
was an
kind of a
example
game.
of that? What was an example of that?
We had um, we had a program that was basically we basically had. you could call it like a mastermind. It was like a mastermind, and there was like an agency hybrid offer where we would take a lot of things off of some person's plate once they have gotten, their ads successful. Let's say they're running a YouTube ad, it's working. We had kind of, a concierge service where it's like, okay, if you need a closer, we'll bring in a closer to help you take your sales calls. Um, if you want a tech person, someone to like set up your Zapier automations or whatever, we'll bring in this person. So it was very much like a white glove. We'll just help you run your business with you. Um, and in every single one of my programs, we've offered group coaching calls, very common, in the high ticket space. But in this program, it was not cheap. Like people would pay on average between 20 to 40,000 a year. Um, and it wasn't huge. There were maybe only like 100 or so people in it at its peak. But we would get like the lowest attendance on these group calls. It would be like 3 or 4 people. It would be like, this doesn't make any sense. Like these people are paying all this money, but maybe they expect us to just do all the work. They don't want to come and ask questions. So at a certain point, me and my business partner at the time, we were kind of just like, well, no one's showing up for these calls. Let's just tell the salespeople to stop pitching it. And as soon as we did that, like literally, it was like we shut off the faucet. Like we went like 2 weeks without getting a single close on the offer. And we're like, what the hell? And we talked to, there were only two closers who were pitching that at the time. And we talked to them and they're just like, yeah, I don't know. It's like they're just not as like, they're not as into it. They're saying they'll let us know when they're ready for it. And we're like, well, the only thing we changed was removing the group calls. Like, could that be it? And he's like, oh yeah, like a few people have mentioned, they want like higher level access, to YouTube. And we're like, okay, well, let's try adding it back and seeing if that works. And it literally, it was like night and day difference. And the reason it wasn't because like, oh, people literally want to attend group calls. It's the feeling that this is a more private, intimate, elite program where I'm going to get closer to you guys, the gurus, and presumably, through that proximity, I'm going to level up, I'm going to evolve, my business is going to grow. Even though in practice, it never really happened, that was a buying reason why people invested into it. So it's another example of like, logically it makes no sense and it's like logically no one's using this, we should be able to cut it out, but it was a big motivating factor for people to purchase apparently. So
Really? That's
yeah,
very intriguing. That's very
yeah,
intriguing. You would think that they wouldn't want, it's a very interesting point that you brought up, like about the taking that away. It's almost like when you said that, I was thinking, when I need it, it's there.
yes,
Like
yeah.
like that's kind of what the feel for me is when you said that. I'm like, it's like, my girl always says like she wants to buy a bunch of stuff and for the house, and I'm like, bro, we're never gonna use any of that stuff. She says, but when we
Yes,
do
we
need it,
have it.
it's,
Yes, yes,
and so
yes,
yeah. Oh, that's
totally.
amazing, man. That's so cool. I mean, you have so much like kind of knowledge throughout this process. What was the biggest, I guess you could say, the biggest success that you had throughout this journey of growing your company to $33 million dollars? Like, what would you pinpoint as like, okay, that's what I would kind of I would stake my claim and say this is what made me there for you specifically.
Like what something tangible, like something I built, something I created.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably probably the low ticket funnel that I built for that company late 2022. And we launched it early 2023. So this is the main funnel that was running for our record year. It had the most ad spend running through it. And before this, so in 2022, we had already hit 1 million a month. We were doing really well. We had a sales team of maybe like 7, 8 people total. Um, but I could definitely see in our metrics that we were going to hit a plateau. Like we were starting to see diminishing returns every time we cranked the knob on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Hmm.
Our profit, our ROAS, all of those things were starting to go down. So I knew we needed a different type of funnel. Um, and we were at the point, we were pacing, 10 million a year. I had ambitions of getting us to 30, 50, 100 million. So I was like, okay, well, let's look at the companies that have done that, that have sold online courses, coaching, etc. So I looked at Tony Robbins, I looked at ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson, I looked at Grant Cardone. And the thing that I noticed, every single one of them, pretty much every single one of them, even to this day, runs the exact same three funnels. And this is where they put like all their money behind. The first I mentioned is a low ticket funnel where you buy something small, like a book or a
Hmm.
little video course, 5, 10, 20, $100. And then that brings you into their ecosystem. The second is an event. So some sort of in-person thing like Tony Robbins, obviously very famous for his events. ClickFunnels does they used to do their huge funnel hacking live. Greg Cardone has 10X. And then the last thing was a virtual event, which was either a webinar or a challenge where you are not trying to simulate a video, but you are literally like on a Zoom with people, like showing them something real. Um, and it made sense. Like the more I was researching it, I was like, yeah, like some people don't want to go to an event. Some people just want to read a book. And maybe that was my first introduction to Tony Robbins was I bought I think it was Unlimited Power. I bought the
Mm.
book when I was in college. I never would have gone when I was in college to like a Tony Robbins event, but maybe someone like who's a little older, someone who really likes that in-person experience, maybe that's their first exposure. So that was when I kind of realized like it's not necessarily like the copywriting or the all of the little things that us marketers can do inside of the funnel. It's literally like what is the invitation that you're giving to people? Like what is the way that you're bringing them into your ecosystem? Because not everyone buys things the same type of way. Like my parents, they're in their 60s. They will not do business with a company where they know they can't get on the phone with someone and call them. Like they're old school. Like they're not gonna do live chat or text, whatever. They want to talk to an American on the phone within 3 minutes. Um, for me, I hate getting on the phone. I would rather have a company that can just like text back and forth with me. So it's a great example that obviously the invitation and the funnel that you're putting in front of someone, that's going to be the way that you open your market up more. So I looked at all of those and I was like, well, a low ticket seems easy. Like we already have all of these courses, all of these assets that we've already made. Like that seems easier than like putting on some big event, some big funnel. Um, and that is pretty much what happened. We sold a mini course that was not that different than the funnel that we were already running. It was pretty much just putting it into like a nice format, putting it behind the $9 paywall. Um, but yeah, that funnel grew faster than everything else. That was what we spent like 90% of our advertising dollars on that year. It was definitely, the main component that led to that $33 million record year.
Wow. And how much did you spend in ad spend to get that 33
Overall, probably just under 10, like 8. Um,
million?
at our, what was that?
8 million?
Yes. Yeah. So we were always at around like a 3.5 to a 4 ROAS.
Uh-huh.
Like our absolute best month was July of 2023, where we did 4.1, 4.2. And we did that off of about 1.1 in ad spend. So that works out to around like a 3.5 to a 4 ROAS. And that was split between Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But I think collectively we would spend upwards of like 35,000 a day. So we were up there.
Oh shoot, that's pretty high. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that was
gangster. And so what was the process? So they would buy a $9 thing and then you would get the sales team to call them and close them to the next thing, or how did that work?
we tried that. Um, we've never really had much success with setters. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But also a good example where it's like not everything you don't have to be good at everything. So
Yeah.
literally our funnel was after they purchase, they get another video from me that congratulates them, gives them instructions, and then it tells them to book a call. So they had to
Mm-hmm.
self-book essentially. Um, then they could do that. And then also at the same time, they go in their email, they get their login, they log into the members area, pretty much the members area. And if you go back and you read like a lot of people's books, like the Tony Robbins books, the Russell Brunson books, like they are essentially sales funnels. Like they are
Yeah.
structured in the same way a sales funnel is, where it's breaking your beliefs. It's getting you to see the world a certain way, for better or worse. But the goal is that at the end, you want to buy more of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very much how we did it. So it wasn't, like 10 modules worth of content. It was maybe 5 to 6 hours of it. But we basically gave them the equivalent of like a webinar or a VSL. That was the first video they watched, kind of gave them an overview of our marketing strategy, our business model that we were teaching them. And then after that, we would have instructional videos that were basically designed to like handle objections that we knew that we were like the most common one. So it's like, oh, really common one. What if I don't want to be on camera? What if I'm not comfortable shooting my YouTube ad? Are people really going to want to see me in a YouTube ad? So what the video that covered that was literally like, here are three examples of ads that college age Lucas shot with acne on his face that made millions of dollars. So people see that and they're like, oh, I feel more confident about doing this myself. So it's not like it's rocket science, but it definitely was not just, oh, we take these videos and we throw them in. We engineered it that if we knew someone watched 100% of the videos, they would be fully bought in. They would be very convinced that they should be doing this as their main form of marketing. They should be prioritizing this in their business over anything else. Um, and that was really it. 50% of the calls came on the confirmation page that I mentioned before. So half of the people would just self-book right away. Then
Oh,
the
so
other
after
50,
I got the $9 thing, you're just like, hey, you got this thing, you're gonna go log in, book a call to get someone to talk to you about how to implement it, or what was the call about?
we called it an onboarding call.
Okay.
So pretty much exactly how you said it. The only thing that took a little bit of massaging was our sales reps, obviously, up until this point, were not used to just like talking to someone. They were assuming people would come in knowing that they were going to get pitched some bigger program or service. So we basically just added in something at the start of the calls after they've done, some rapport that was just saying, hey, congratulations on getting our introductory course. I know you're going to love it. I know it's going to be amazing. It's a really awesome asset. However, as an introductory $9 course is not always going to be the thing that transforms your business, transforms your life. So if by the end of this call we feel like we could be a really good fit, would you be open to maybe hearing about some of the other ways that we could help you? Inevitably, people would almost always say yes. And we would get probably vast majority, like 70, 80% of our closes were one call closes exactly like that. So they came in, they spent $9, they show up thinking this is an onboarding call, and then by the end, they're like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. Let's do it. I'm ready to go.
Wow.
Um, and
And
again,
what were you guys charging at that time?
at the time the program was 10K, so it was
Oh,
not
wow.
cheap. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a big difference between $9 and 9,800 what we
That's
were
a big
selling.
jump. How did you like,
Yes.
yeah, how did that shift there go?
I think it was a lot of there definitely was some adjustment
Yeah.
in um, mainly in the salespeople. But again, going back to belief, like I was talking about before, I saw this process. Like this is if you go in Grant Cardone's funnels, if you go in Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, like they all do this. And I was like, yes, they have the pictures, they have the conferences that they can show, but I was like, there's no physical limitation that is preventing someone from doing something like this right away. Like if they have the money, there's nothing that says like, oh, you have to wait 2 weeks. Oh, you have to do a two-call close. So I think part of that was just me being like, oh, well, these people are doing it, so obviously I can, and all of our sales team can as well. And in many ways, I see it as easier. Like people now, very common sales funnel is just, run a VSL, you book a call, and then you close them on the spot, hopefully. To me, that seems even harder to do because I'm like, this is someone who's ice cold. Like this person did not even know you. This is the first conversation they're having. This is someone that already spent $9 with us. Like they've already shown they trust us enough to spend money with us. So I never saw it as I get this a lot with clients that I'll help them run these funnels. Very commonly, they're like, well, why would someone buy something else when they just spent money? Like, don't they want to go through that first? And I'm like, maybe, but it's like maybe they have a really painful problem. It's like if I have a broken back, I don't just want the $9 book about how to heal my back. I want the chiropractor to come in and fix it for me. So I think a lot of it was just believing that this was a much warmer and a much more qualified lead. And that is to this day one of the reasons I love the low ticket funnel is because it's true. It's like if someone has spent money with you, I think the statistic is like they're 20 times more likely to spend money with you again compared to a
What?
new customer. Yeah.
Wow.
And we saw that like when we look at if
Compared to
we
a free lead is what you're saying.
correct. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Assuming that both previously were completely cold, like they didn't know you. This is the first interaction that they're having. Just the act of them being willing to pull their credit card out, tap their Apple Pay, whatever, that is a huge trust and buying signal. Like it's proof that this person clearly resonates with you enough um, that they're willing to, transact with you financially. And the other quote, I think it's a Dan Kennedy quote, is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. Like someone who
Mm.
buys one thing is not just going to buy that one thing. Like someone who buys one Nike sweatshirt is not just going to buy that one Nike sweatshirt. They're going to buy a lot of workout gear over the next few years. It's just a matter of whether they buy it with you or they buy it with Adidas or any other brand. Um, so that has served us very well. And that was one of the big reasons that we had a record year in 2023 was because it wasn't even just they spent $9 then they spent 10,000. It was very frequently that within 2 weeks from that, they were getting, the 30, $40,000 higher level mastermind that we had. We had kind of like other programs that were like 5,000. Um, it was like the floodgates opened. Like as soon as someone had made that first initial purchase, they became a lot more open to buying almost everything else if it made sense, for their business and what they were kind of looking for. Um, so that was definitely the low ticket funnel and then kind of like the cross selling and the ascension model. That definitely was the biggest contributor, I think.
Dang, that's crazy, man. You know, when you said earlier, you said the challenge webinar, the challenge event, live event online, and then the live event in person, the three biggest funnels that they have, and then low ticket. You know what I
Yep.
didn't hear you say was call funnels.
Yeah. And because, I
Why is
mean,
that?
I think it's because there's just so much operational waste where if you're Tony Robbins and you have like 10 million followers and you're just like, oh, book a call with my team, the diversity of quality of those leads is going to be like at one side of the spectrum, you have people who have been like, I went to a Tony Robbins event 10 years ago and it changed my life. Like, I just want to do whatever you got. And then some other person just saw his interview with Alex Hormozy for the first time and they're like, I don't really know who this guy is. Like, can you tell me? So there's just such a diversity, which then the most expensive thing you can do is waste a salesperson's time. The salesperson should only be talking to people who are qualified, they're able and ready to buy something expensive. Um, so if you are Tony Robbins or if you're Russell Brunson or you're Alex Hormozy even, there are a lot more efficient ways of filtering out the highest quality, the most qualified people so that you're not wasting a really great salesperson's time. And I would imagine, from what I know, it's like if you're a salesperson for Tony Robbins, if you're a salesperson for Greg Cardone and Alex Hormozy, I guarantee you could make $1 million a year. Like you could definitely
Yeah.
make 100 grand a month. That's not going to happen if three of your calls, 3 hours to 5 hours of your day are no shows or people like, who is this Tony guy? Like, tell me more about him. Like, it just doesn't work. So, what I think is the much smarter business model at that level is you have a relatively small sales team, but those salespeople are selling incredibly expensive things, 20, 50, $100,000, and the show rate and the qualification rate of everything that's put in their calendar is the absolute highest that it could possibly be. Because one of the hardest things you can do in a business is get another really killer closer who could actually generate $1 million a year in commissions. Like that's incredibly hard to find. Um, so a VSL funnel is great to get started, get momentum, but it's really difficult to put a lot of clicks and a lot of leads through it because the quality is just going to be it's going to be all over the place.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very intriguing because usually people that I talk to, they're doing 1 million a month. That's their, claim to fame is call funnel, call funnel,
Yeah.
call funnel.
Yeah. That was our funnel before the low ticket. So we did the same thing. We got to 1 million a month and then we started seeing the signs of slowing down. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but
Yeah.
same idea. If you have a product, if you have a marketing funnel, if you have a sales process that you know works,
Hmm.
you could be making your life a lot easier just putting it into a different format, like a funnel that kind of just naturally aligns with your business. Like I think so many businesses honestly would just benefit from having a book funnel. I think it's a lot of work, but I mean, Alex Hormozy arguably has grown his entire personal brand off of 3 book
Three
funnels.
books. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Um, it is one of the quickest, not quick, but like relatively quick ways to build authority. And the other thing that I heard If you can't tell, I want to write a book. But
Yeah, I've been hearing that. I'm like, where's your
yeah,
book at, dude?
yeah. Well, the thing that I heard was like, who still reads books is billionaires. The people who still reads books are like people with money. So it's like, yeah, you might have a hard time getting a billionaire or a millionaire or just like a business owner to sit through your 2 hour long webinar, to sit through like your hour long sales call, but they will buy your book and they will actually read the paperback. They'll read it on their Kindle. Um, the other one is podcasts. Podcasts is definitely something that, you can reach a very highly qualified demographic for a long period of time. Um, so there's a lot of ways of doing it, but it is difficult to find 50, 100 million, $200 million companies where it's just VSL. Oh, everyone just schedules a call with our sales team and then we figure it
Yeah,
out. Like that, it's very difficult operationally, I think, to
yeah,
do at scale.
that's crazy. That's crazy. So, okay, your business, $33 million a year, top line, it crushes it year one. And then I'm I'm sure we're talking about it now, the transition point. Where was that
Yes.
transition point for you? How did that transpire? Because here's why I say this, because at some point I'm asking myself the question as you're saying that the majority of your business is front end. So we're doing $8 million a year and I'm as in ads, and the majority of our money is coming from new business.
Yep.
That means that the stick rate of clients staying and paying over a period of time is not very high, meaning it's just like just a cycle.
Yes. Yes.
And I imagine
Exactly.
that's the part where the transition came into play.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me
Um,
about that. Tell me about what happened there.
what I was mentioning before, where you can make things look really good in business. Like all the numbers I said, they sound very impressive.
Yeah,
Um, where it was largely just marketing and just
for
like,
sure.
how do we get more people to pay us money? As you can imagine, like you said, it's better just to have someone continue paying you money rather than finding new people to do it. Because number one, they're already there, they trust you already. But then number two, in any business, a new client is going to add operational drag that an existing client did not have. You now have to
Hmm.
service a new person, you have to help them, you have to get them up to speed. And what we had for our operations, our client success, our service delivery, it worked at like 5 million or 10 million, which was probably like 200 clients a month on our front end program. But at our peak, we were putting through like almost triple that, like 500 or 600. Uh,
500 units a month
yes. Yeah.
at 10,000 a piece? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there was payment plans and all that stuff, right? I imagine. Like
Yes.
not everyone
Yeah.
paid the 10,000 or could afford it. So I imagine the blended, if your numbers were like $4 million top line, so your blended was like a three pay. Most people did a three pay or some type
Around
of payment
that.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It was between the three pay or the two pay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
So as you can imagine, it creates there's a lot of things in business that are like positive momentum. This is a perfect example of negative momentum where you're bringing in more clients, and every single new client you bring in makes the client experience worse because our
Oh,
customer
shoot.
service team is getting stretched thin. We're not able to hire fast enough. Um, the experience just gets worse. And as
Mm.
people's experience get worse, what do? They complain, they leave bad reviews, they start to get vocal, they start to like try and tell other clients, which then makes it harder to bring in new clients. So the whole thing is kind of like this negative, vicious cycle. Um, and that was pretty much what happened. And there were a lot of other things. Like I had some disagreements with my business partner and kind of the direction we wanted to go with the business. Um, but
What was
overall,
what was the kind of the discussions there? What did you want? What did they want?
he there was a point where we were literally having discussions with like Warner Brothers for doing like a reality TV show for real estate, basically. Like he does my business partner does real estate, and he was thinking of we were thinking of doing like real estate coaching and courses, and one of the ways we were going to do that was a real estate TV show similar to like Ryan Serhant or
Hmm.
Grant Cardone. Um, And there were probably like five or six other projects like that, which were just like, this would be a cool thing to do, but then we never did it. So attention was definitely getting spread thin away from the golden goose, away from the thing that was truly like driving everything. So entrepreneurial
Mm.
shiny object syndrome.
Mm.
Um, and part of that not to blame either one of those, but it was just like the things that we thought the future of the company that thought like, the 100 million, 200 million version of it, whatever. Um, I think we're very different. We had very different future visions of what we wanted to turn it into, which is normal. I mean, it is very difficult, to have a business partner or a partner in life in general that you see 100% eye to eye on everything. Um,
Hmm.
so it was definitely a combination of things, but definitely biggest thing was just we scaled too big too fast. We didn't have the infrastructure to support it. And um, if you're not raising outside capital, your paying customers are your investors. And when your paying customers start to leave you and investors start leaving you, it's very, very difficult to get that back. Um, so in 2024, I think we ended the year at like 8 million. So we had collapsed to like a third of that size. Um, and towards the end of that year, me and my business partner, we just decided to part ways, decided to basically do other things. Um, so I do truly believe like I don't think there's anything wrong with like scaling as quick as we did, but again, we started off 2023 at 1 million a month and we ended at over 4 million a month. So it was technically, even though the top lines did not quadruple, the run rate at the time quadrupled, which
Yeah,
with
it's
the
a
business
totally
model
different
that
business. It's a totally different
yes,
business at that point.
yes, and the business model that we were in, which is service based, it's human to human, we couldn't scale that as fast. Like maybe if it's a software business like yours, that's amazing. Where the units are a little easier to manage at scale.
Yeah,
But for us, it was very noticeable. Like people very clearly vocalized, "Hey, I'm not getting enough attention. This isn't what I was promised. I'm not getting the one-on-one." Um, and our coaches, justifiably so, would take like much longer to respond because it's like they were overwhelmed with clients. They couldn't respond within an hour. Sometimes clients were waiting 2, 3, 4 days, which, if they're making a large investment like that, that's just not acceptable.
for
So
sure.
it became a vicious cycle like that, which I think then in combination with some of the other things, it was kind of just like, we'll call this a mistake and we'll kind of close the doors on it, and hopefully learn from it for any future business ventures. Um, so that was 24. And now obviously I'm doing some similar things. I'm doing some different things, but definitely the biggest thing I took from that was before you scale, make sure you plan for your success. I think that was a big part of it was just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Like every time we increase our budget, things just work. Like we make more money. Like we must be geniuses. But you also have to plan for, okay, how many customer support people do we have? How many client success managers do we have? Can our systems, can our spreadsheets, can our softwares literally handle this many people flowing through it? Um, and I think sometimes because it's so difficult to like break through to that point to like actually get a business that is compounding every single month or every single year, you almost don't plan for that. You're like, well, if that would happen, that would be amazing. But like, I'm not even going, that's such a moonshot. Like, who knows if that's even going to happen? But that is kind of what you have to do. You have to plan for that success or it's going to be short-lived in many ways.
Mm. And what was your team looking like at the peak at 33 million a year? How many team members did you guys have?
We had a lot. It was definitely over 100 if you count, overseas contractors, VAs, etc. At one point, we had a 30-person sales team, which was almost all closers,
Shoot.
which was also another, it's like it doesn't even make sense, but it's just operational, like a mess. Like we would have some closers who would literally get like 2 live calls a day. And it's like, well, why do we have 30 closers if they're not all
Mm.
busy? Um, Probably had a slightly smaller, if not similarly sized client success team of full-time coaches who worked with our clients. The marketing team was always very small. So it was at its peak, it was me and like three assistants, you could say. Like I had someone who helped me with copywriting, someone who helped me with the video creatives, someone who helped me with the media buying. But I did all the marketing myself and still do to this day.
Mm.
And then we had, operations team, VAs helping out with things. Um, that's another thing that I think was a mistake was as we grew, the average salary on the team decreased. Like I think the average salary at our peak technically was like 4,000 a month. And it's like I would have rather had it been
It's like
8,000 a month.
36, that's like 3,600, 36,000 a year.
Yeah, basically, like
Yeah.
barely
Oh
livable wage for most
shoot.
of America.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so you're
There's a
obviously,
big discrepancy. So it's like $36,000 a year, and you guys are earning three hundred
yes,
thousand dollars a year
yeah,
per employee. So the revenue per employee is good, but the earning capacity of your people wasn't there.
right.
Oh
And if we
wow.
could just have, we could have cut the team in half, paid them double,
Yeah,
and we would have been paying the same amount, and the quality probably would have been night and day difference. But then
100%.
imagine, like you said, take it a step further, cut it down even more, but then pay top market rates, like really elite salaries. That's
Yeah.
where really amazing things can
Top
happen. So
talent would
again,
come in,
yes, yeah. So
be
a great
super
example as
attractive.
well. Yeah, where yeah, the things in hindsight seem obvious, but I was like, oh, I know how to market. I can get customers to want to pay us money, and we'll figure out the rest later.
Fudge, that's crazy. So tell me now what you're most excited about, what you guys got going on, because I know that transition, and I say that because a lot of the things that the reason why I'm able to kind of talk into those points is because I did that, but I didn't do it at the scale
Mhm.
you did it. I wasn't doing, but we grew to $1 million run rate in 5 months, and it was just two
Nice.
of us, so we had no team.
Yeah.
So it was like. And then it burned to the ground in month seven. So by month five, we
Wow.
were going up, and then month seven, everything was just like refund,
Yep.
refund, refund, refund. And to your point, like we were doing in 2020, we were doing the appointment setter like thing, placement
Yep.
appointment setters. We didn't
Yep.
understand the fulfillment of like placing people and getting them
Yep.
into KPI. Dude, that's a nightmare. It's a
Yes.
freaking
Yeah. Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah. It's a whole job. It is a whole job doing
Freaking
it, managing
nightmare.
it. Yep.
And
Totally.
and so so when I'm asking you these questions and not like I'm very specific about the questions, you're like, okay, that makes sense. He's been there. He's been through that
Yes.
probably cycle.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's now what are you working on and what are you most excited about now?
Yeah. I'm definitely really excited about AI, if it's not obvious for many of the reasons I mentioned, where it can, if it's utilized correctly, fix a lot of the deficiencies that I mentioned, where it can actually operationalize a business. It can make things more efficient. You can grow without having as much bloat and as much, overhead worry. So the company that I have now, I have two companies. I have a marketing agency where I help coaches, course creators, people like myself advertise, build funnels, all that typical stuff. The thing I'm really excited about is our software. It's called Kodara. It's a way for people like myself, coaches, experts, authors, course creators, to create a product that is an AI of themselves, essentially, that they can then sell to their clients. So the first way that I started doing this was I created my own AI as a way of running my own marketing agency, as a way of, running ads, creating funnels, analyzing things, etc. And I realized I was like, I'd been working with an engineer on it for like 3 months, and I was like, if this works well, and it was, but I was like, if this keeps working well and it gets better, why would anyone ever pay human Lucas? Like, what is the point? Like, if I can just click a button and it does my marketing for me exactly how human Lucas would, like, why would I want to talk to him other than like the nice human touch? And that gave me the idea of like, well, maybe instead of just me running my agency with this, maybe I could just sell this to people. Maybe people, instead of working with my agency, they would want to buy this. And we did. We had a huge launch with a relatively small email list. We did $147,000, did over $1 million on the Lucas AI in the first year. So that gave me a lot of confidence in the proof of concept of it. And now we help other experts do the same, create their own product, sell it to their audience, use it as a way of growing their business without it kind of bottlenecking themselves.
That's freaking unique, dude. And how many people are on this team? Like now that you guys got this thing, how many people are on that team?
It's very small. So we have three engineers and a QA. So there's four people in the engineering department. We have a designer. We have one operations, one client success, two salespeople. So that's like 12.
12,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, around there, like 10 to 15. It's definitely very small. And that's one of my goals. 2026, I don't care about hitting any records. I don't care about, making a ton of money personally. Um, I really just want to lay the foundation and make sure that we have the infrastructure, the technology, and most importantly, testimonials, case studies. Like I'm obviously super proud of my success, but what I think is the most cool is when Russell Brunson or ClickFunnels can say, we literally have like 100 people, 1,000 people who made over $1 million on our platform. Um, that's definitely my goal now. So we want to lay that foundation for this year and then probably turn up the jets in 2027. That'd be
I
my
love
goal.
it. What's your big vision for this thing? Like, where do you see it going? I mean, I know it's maybe not record thing, but I'm sure you have to have somewhat of a vision for where you're hoping, because you just said about the ClickFunnels, 1,000 people have made $1 million, and that's kind
Yeah.
of what they call like the moonshot, right? The
Yeah.
moonshot kind of
Yep.
target. What's
Yep.
that moonshot target for you?
If we could, it's not even $1 million, but if we could help 1 million people like create a livable income with our platform, I think that would be incredible. Because truly, you know, what we've seen in the past decade or so with social media, where everyone is technically like a personal brand. It's like everyone
Hmm.
has a personal brand because everyone has social media.
Hmm.
Um, and anyone could become famous on social media. It's like you could just shoot a funny video of your friend and all of a sudden they're on daytime talk shows.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a similar thing with AI, where obviously everyone knows ChatGPT now, but we're going to see a new economy of people monetizing themselves, just like how people can monetize themselves through social media.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new economy of people able to monetize themselves with AI, much in the same way that I had kind of done with Lucas AI. And I think that the mindset a lot of people have now is, they're afraid. They're like, oh, AI is going to take everyone's jobs, everyone's going to do this. But it's like the only way that could happen is if someone is the one who's training the AI, someone is the one who's like the creator of that specific one. So it's like, I'm not a billion-dollar tech CEO. Technically, I'm sure, some other company could have built something similar to Lucas AI, but they didn't. And clearly there was a market for it, and that's what matters. Um, so just like, all of the previous ways that I've made money of just selling what I know, selling a
Hmm.
skill set, but just packaging it in a nice way. I think we're going to see that in a completely new way with AI. And it would be really amazing just to help people who maybe are not typically entrepreneurial, people who've maybe even never even thought of starting a business before, but helping as many of those people as possible create a new source of income with it.
That's freaking awesome, dude. I love the journey. I mean, as you can tell, I geek out on this stuff with you. I mean, and hearing your journey, I didn't know all those things about, like, you had mentioned a little bit on one of your other like podcasts where you guys went back, some of the business, but when I'm hearing you talk about it, it brings me back to like, fudge, man, that was brutal when that thing went down too.
Yep. It's not
It was
fun.
it
Least
was
fun part of
brutal.
business.
Dude, it was
Yes.
brutal.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I
Yep.
appreciate that. And you what did you say the software was called?
Kodara,
Kodara.
Kodara.com.
All right, cool. And that's how the best way someone will connect with you. What would be the best way for you to for someone to connect with you guys?
Probably through there. If someone ever wanted to reach me personally, DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I am the only one who uses it. I don't have an assistant or a VA or anything, so that's usually an easy way to reach me.
I love it, my man. Well, thank you so much, Lucas. Appreciate the time, my man. And yeah, dude, that's so awesome. Love to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah.